McKee has to leave early in the middle of our broadcast of Facebook
We'll make
Live.
it as long as we can.
We'll try to do it as we can. Mike, let's attach our guests to their abilities. They are not talking heads. Carl Case, a wonderful professor at Wellesley. He recently passed away after a courageous battle with his illness. Ray Fair, iconic at Yale University, particularly in polling and the gauge of economic America. And his daughter, Emily Oster, at Brown University, Ray Fair's daughter. And this is one of the classics. And I just wanted to show this. Thanks to Pearson for sending this to us, John Phelan and the Pearson people. This is the same group that does Glenn Hubbard of Columbia. And what's great about this, Mike, is some textbooks have a lot of math. This is wicked, to use a Boston phrase, wicked accessible. How important is math in the papers of the textbooks that you read?
Well, it's two different things. To theoretical economists, math is very important. They have to prove their theories, but to the average person, it's not. And you should pick up a textbook like this because you'll understand what's going on in the economy, and for your own civic benefit, that's an important thing.
Here's an intimidating chart. Catherine, wandering here. This is in every economic textbook. But the difference is some textbooks for a certain kind of student are loaded with math. Math. Particularly in England. The English textbooks, as a rule, have more math. Rogoff's graduate textbook with Maurice Obstfeld. Math. But this is more accessible with a lot more text to explain what's going on. Okay, there's our sales pitch today for a wonderful textbook. I'll actually take that home and add it to the textbook library that takes up the conservatory. That's the West
You
Wing.
can take out a library card, go over to Tom's house and study.
Here's where we are in the 2-year yield. This is the Fed Derby. Mike and I were kidding about the parlor game. Jan Honsius. What did Jan Honsius do today?
Well, he had raised his odds of a Fed move in September to 55%. Today he took them back down to 40%, saying he didn't hear anything from John Williams that changed his mind in the San Francisco Fed Bank president's speech last night, and then that bad manufacturing ISM number yesterday.
Right. We showed on the 2-year yield here with the different Fed meetings along the way. Here's the central tendency. Here are the meetings. These circles will come up to wherever we are, September, November, and December, and we've come up here back near normal. That's that rollover of that data, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, and the data that we've had, the big data we've had so far from August, has all rolled over. The jobs report, the ISM manufacturing report, and the non-manufacturing report. And so you see people beginning to price out again a Fed move in September.
Draghi tomorrow. There's many ways to look at the euro, euro sterling, euro Swedish krona, euro Swiss franc. Huge deal to a lot of people looking at economics. Here's trade weighted euro. I didn't notice this chart until somebody said, hey, shut up and make it. Strong euro out of the last decade. And then we roll over. And Mike, it's been a persistent trade weighted euro rollover. And that's part of what Mr. Draghi has to deal with.
Although for the last year it's been relatively stable, and then you look at 2016, and instead of going down after Brexit, it's gone up.
The bet was like this.
Yeah, the British having voted to leave, and so that is not good for European competitiveness. And what we're seeing is that reflected in the numbers today. German industrial production falls 1.5%, the most in 2 years.
We like distinctions. We use the word distinction a lot. Mike and I, frankly, if I've got a piece of cheese in my mouth and they're in my ear, what are you doing at 12 noon? I'll always go to the word distinction. We'll go to the word distinction if we don't know what to ask next. Here's the distinction. Easy, Bowden. Here's the distinction on this chart. Down we go. Weaker euro, better for European exports. Mike, is it better for Poland or Greece or Portugal or Germany? Which one's most benefited? That's a
Well, the one that would benefit
question.
the most is the Germans, because they have the most export-dependent, manufacturing-dependent economy. Manufacturing is about 21 to 22% of the German economy.
We're what, 8%?
We're 12%. The French are about 11%. So there are wide disparities in where people make their money these days. A lot of countries like the U.S., more service-oriented economies. The French have become more service-oriented. The Italians have. You have countries like Greece, which doesn't have a lot of manufacturing, but in Germany, it's still very important.
So weak euro, weak trade-weighted euros, good for Chancellor Merkel. Then let's bring it over to the United Kingdom and Brexit.
Someone's asking what the name of that book is again.
Oh, the name of the book. We were going to get to that. We'll attach it. Catherine will do that.
They're
Case Fair Oster, Principles of Economics, 12th edition. I will be honest. You can get the ebook, but pay up for the hardcover book, And don't read it cover to cover. I've written articles about it. You don't have to read this. It's intimidating. You don't have to read it cover to cover. Dip into it on something that has your curiosity. Here's industrial production in the United Kingdom, and this is not really a Brexit chart, but it shows the challenges of peak production, the crisis, down we go, and we're already back to 94 and almost 98. Industrial production, and yet we don't think of that for England, yet it matters.
It matters. It's not as big a part of the economy there. Certainly, it's become a much more services-oriented economy with the growth of the financial services industry in the United Kingdom. But what's interesting is you look at the very end there, and you've seen a jump
A
in
pickup
2016.
and a leg up here, yeah.
Surprisingly, a little bit of a dip, but it's stronger than
There.
forecast. So we're not seeing yet the real Brexit effect.
Brexit, world's coming to an end. We're going to roll over down here, and that didn't happen, did it? One more chart, and then we'll get to questions and move on because I've got a lunch, blah, blah, blah. Thanks. Michael Mayo on with us today. Mike, I can never get over the separation of Wells Fargo and JP Morgan from Bank of America and Citigroup, pinned and normalized back to 2007.
Well,
What a chart.
The differential is what you had on your balance sheet and whether or not it was healthy or not. And the JP Morgan and Wells Fargo balance sheets in much better shape than the others who are still dealing with legacy problems.
But can we also say, stick to your knitting, stick to your knitting?
Well, you
Adventurous.
can with Wells Fargo, but JP Morgan is in a lot of the businesses that the other banks are, but they have been much more careful about how they do it.
Okay. Let me go to Kieran. Do we have any
Yes,
questions?
we do. From Brent, Facebook viewer Brent, who wants to know about the state of manufacturing in America. Is it collapsing or is that hyperbole?
Mike, that's a great
The
question.
state of manufacturing in America is actually pretty good. People confuse the number of people working in manufacturing with the level of output. The level of output hasn't changed all that much over the years. We're still the world's biggest or second biggest manufacturer now, maybe after China, but we use a far fewer people to do so because of automation. And that is a distinction that gets lost on a lot of people. Now, short term, we are having a bit of a rollover. We're not sure why. We saw inventories worked off a lot in the second quarter. Manufacturing should come back to replace those. It hasn't yet. And we'll wait and see if that signals a slowdown ahead or if we're just a little bit behind in getting that started.
This is one of my most famous charts. I made this chart well over a decade ago, stumbled up on it one day. It is the number of people employed in manufacturing amid a growing America. So this is the correct number down here, and this is adjusted back for a smaller America. We come out of World War II, and down we go. And Mike, this is that technological progress of productivity, fewer bodies, beautiful straight log line. This is great linear function on a log y-axis. And then, Mike, something happened. 2000. This is stunning. Totally unexpected. Maybe you're coming out of
Well, you had a
World War
couple
II.
of things happen. You had the
Yeah.
technology boom of the 1990s that led to even more automation, and that was responsible for a lot. You had globalization where a lot of jobs did move overseas, and you had outsourcing. A lot of jobs formerly classified as manufacturing. Say you were an accountant at a manufacturing firm.
Yep.
Well, now you work for your own accounting firm and they contract with you, so you're back into the service industry. You're not in manufacturing anymore. All that came together to really take a hit to manufacturing
The
payroll.
last idea, I think, is way underrated and is a much bigger thing. The idea of taking Ford Motor, and let's say just as a round number, they have 100,000 people, and you crowbar off 15 or 18 or 20,000 people that move outside that statistical base. This is a triumph. This is what Mike was talking about in his first comment. We've leveled population-adjusted manufacturing, and this is, I'm sorry, this is a great triumph when you look at the vector of this curve. I mean, that's been a big success.
Yeah, it's a good reason to note again that
Yeah.
do not believe any politician who says they can bring back the manufacturing jobs from overseas.
Right.
They're not coming back because we can do the manufacturing, but we'll probably do it with machines.
And we're up there. I'm doing the math quickly in my head. We got to go up 50 to 60% just to get back to that break in 2000. One more question, Karen?
Yeah,
One more.
Just one. Okay, Haydar, he wants to know other top eco books that you both
Oh,
recommend,
let's do it.
including the one.
Yeah, I'm gonna recommend my book of the year last year, Hubris, by Meghdad Desai of London School of Economics. Hugely readable, minimal math, HUBRIS, and my book of the summer, which is right there. Catherine, come in and let's look. It's 64 shots. It's right there. It's a great leadership book. I hate leadership books. 64 Shots is a great book. Do you have a book?
I have a great book. It's The Rise and Fall of American Prosperity by Robert Gordon.
Yes.
It is how the world changed from 1870 on with the invention of indoor plumbing, electricity, all kinds of things that changed the world from time immemorial to 1870 or so, and how much the world has changed since then. There is no math. It's pretty much all history, but it gives you a complete grounding in economics. You'll understand what's going on in the world today.
And for lunch, we're going over to the FT Book Awards luncheon. Lionel Barber of the FT with McKinsey, and Mr. Gordon's book, Professor Gordon's book, is on the short list, I believe.
I would not be surprised.
We're going to leave that here. We are ecstatic over the response to Facebook Live worldwide, particularly your good questions. We thank all of our digital team, everybody but Catherine, who helps out. But she'll attach Case, Oster, and maybe some of these other books as well to today's video. Thanks for watching Facebook Live.